I'm going to quickly introduce Associate Professor Anna Wiewiora. Anna is going to speak to us about the decisive enterprise. Anna is helping organisations navigate the competing tensions that we make in the boardrooms and how leaders can actually navigate those decisions. Anna is a project management expert, a key member of the Faculty of Business and Law and School of Management, and Centre for Future Enterprise. Welcome, Anna.
Clicker. Thank you. Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. It is my privilege to start the next three presentations. I will be talking about the decisive enterprise theme within the Centre for Future Enterprise, which is led by Professor Kevin D'Souza. We are embarking on a program of research. We have actually embarked for a while already on a program of research looking into helping leaders and organizations to embrace competing tensions for positive outcomes. So leaders are increasingly grappling with competing demands, and they have to choose between seemingly opposite decisions, for example, they might need to grapple with the decision whether to innovate or to leverage an existing successful product, or whether to rapidly respond to emerging needs or carefully evaluate or brainstorm options. As leaders are grappling with those issues, there's a tendency to frame those issues as dilemmas. And if we look at those issues as dilemmas, we tend to adopt an either-or mindset when we are choosing between two alternatives, option A or option B. But this either-or views can be limiting or even detrimental in the long term, because we might be neglecting an important aspect of the tension just to give a priority on the second aspect of the tension. So let me give you an example of a tension that many organizations are grappling with, and one between standardization and flexibility. So standardization is beneficial because it helps to improve efficiency, it helps to improve transparency in the organization, might also help to with staff mobility and get employees quickly on speed, because up to speed, just because they can follow standardized practices, standardized approaches. At the same time, flexibility is also very beneficial because it gives our employees some autonomy to make decisions. It also helps speed up decision making. However, too much of standardization can be impractical because it can lead to unnecessarily detailed and rigid practices. Too much of flexibility can be dangerous. It can lead to chaos, it can lead to miscommunication or missed opportunities for learning. So just in that example, I wanted to demonstrate that first we need to be aware that the tension exists, such as this one between standardization and flexibility, that both elements of the tension can have positive implications, but we need to carefully manage both and make sure that we are not neglecting one aspect of the tension in order to give priority to the other aspect of the tension. Here I have a quick question to every one of you. What are the contradictory tensions that you are currently grappling with, either at work or your personal life? And if you could please use that QR code so we can see, and we will be using a word cloud just to see what type of tensions people in the room are grappling with. You can also find a QR code on your tables. If we can now have a look at those word clouds, that would be great. Thanks. Yeah. Trust versus compliance, health versus work, tensions around ethics, old versus new career, change versus control. Yeah, leisure and work. Many of us might be grappling with those tensions. Start versus finishing a project. Change versus control, old versus new, work and family. And the group and the cloud is getting bigger and bigger, and so this is exactly what we do in the Center for Future Enterprise. We are helping organizations, we are helping leaders to navigate those tensions. First of all, to surface those tensions, and then to embrace those tensions for positive results. Thank you for this word cloud, and I'll surely use this for our future work to see what other tensions are out there that people are grappling with, both at work and in personal life. Can we go back to the slides, please? Thank you. So for this, we are using a paradox lens, which help us to dive deeper into those contradictory tensions and understand them rather than eliminating them. So the paradox lens help us to further explore those tensions rather than suppress those tensions or eliminate those tensions. So eliminating those tensions is not always possible, or is also not advisable, because as I mentioned earlier, focusing on one element and choosing that either or perspective can be damaging and might lead to suboptimal decisions. So that paradox lens helps us to apply the and both approach, where we can have that and both mindset to better navigate those competing priorities. And so by intentionally surfacing those competing tensions, organizational leaders can create a better environment for higher level or better decisions. And I'd like to give you an example how this was done in Pfizer, because everyone is quite familiar with this case. So Pfizer set an ambitious goal to develop and globally distribute effective vaccine in a record time in the middle of health pandemic. And as normally it takes years to develop vaccination, they embarked to do that in less than 1 year. Number of contradictory tensions surfaced as they approached to achieve this goal. One is between business as usual and innovation. So on the one hand, Pfizer wanted to maintain their ongoing operations. At the same time, they needed to mobilize resources, mobilize people to work towards an innovation, that is to develop a vaccination against COVID. They also faced tension between speed to develop the vaccination, because the vaccination, everyone was waiting for it, and at the same time making sure that the selection of the vaccination is, or they selected the best option for the vaccination. So in fact, they had 4 options of vaccines to choose from. They developed those vaccines in a record time of just a couple of months, and they needed to make a swift decision to select the most effective option, and the stakes were of course very high, because the vaccination needed to be effective against the COVID. They also faced tension between safety and speed of the production of the vaccination as well as the shipment. What helped Pfizer to surface those tensions and effectively navigate those tensions was the environment within the organization, as well as a visionary CEO with an so what we call integrative mindset. So the CEO challenged the team to think big and consider and both solutions rather than compromising on either or. And in addition to that, there was already a culture within Pfizer that embraced that and both view. And that helped Pfizer to creatively navigate those opposing tensions. And for example, they were able to manage the business as usual and innovation tension by mobilizing a team that worked on the vaccination and set up an agile project, and where CEO was considered as a project manager, and using that project-based approach of working on the vaccination helped to break down silos, helped to break down the hierarchies, as the decisions were quickly made during the meetings. The multidisciplinary team of experts met twice a week, and at the meeting the decisions had to be made very quickly. They were also working in parallel on different project phases to speed up the process, and were able to, as we know, develop vaccination within a record time of around 9 months. So with that sort of context in mind, I'd like to show you yet another framework, which I'm going to unpack, that sort of maps onto the example that I talked about, but it's sort of more like a meta-level framework to demonstrate of how surfacing and effectively navigating tensions can have positive outcomes. So often we can start with ambitious goal, and that goal can be set by a CEO or executive team. Ambitious goal can also be triggered by external disruption. For example, COVID was an external disruption, or it can be a new policy on to reduce CO2 emission. It could be also a new competition in the market that sort of forces organization to set an ambitious goal. And as that ambitious goal is set, a number of tensions often surface out. But it's important to have that integrative mindset to be able to realize those tensions and identify those tensions rather than suppressing them. So that was the case I'll give you another example of Lego. So Lego did not exercise at the beginning of their existence, did not exercise this and both mindset, and they focus at the beginning on more like an either or mindset. So from the beginning, when Lego was founded in 1932, then they maintain a sharp focus on one product, Lego bricks. In fact, it took them over a decade to introduce a fifth color to the Lego bricks, the green color. So innovation was not in their radar until around late 90s, when Lego sales began declining, and Lego realized that they are facing with competition from other competitors, new competitors that came into the market and disrupted the environment, disrupted the market by providing new digitalized toys. So Lego shifted entirely to the other spectrum and focused fully on innovation. They cut costs on production, cut costs on quality. However, they didn't see the improvement in sales. The sales continued declining. The reason being that many of the innovations were not profitable and the cost on R&D was excessive. So that's when the Lego executive team realized that they have to apply that and both approach. And in fact, they set up a new ambitious goal to do both, develop an innovative continue developing innovative choice, at the same time maintaining quality control and financial control. So they captured that and both approach in their vision for the organization. And it took them a while to change the mindset in the organization. It also, you know, took changes of the KPIs and other practices within the organization to be able to realize that and both. Here, first thing is then to be able for the organization, for the leaders, to be able to surface those contradictory tensions. So we realize what we have in stake, what is important for the organization. But what is also important is to have that integrative mindset. And that mindset is not only a property of an individual, such as leader, but it's also a property of an organization. So that integrative mindset can be embedded within organizational practices, key performance indicators, organizational culture, and it allows organization to see and both possibilities. And when those sort of structures are in place, organization is then able to creatively integrate those and both solutions for more positive outcomes. There are also a number of strategies available for leaders and organizations to effectively navigate those competing tensions. And in fact, the team in the Center for Future Enterprise, we are specializing, we've developed knowledge to help organizations and leaders first to develop that integrative mindset and also to equip them with tools and strategies to navigate competing priorities. Here, very quickly, these are the 11 principles that hang on the Lego offices. I have 1 minute. Hang on the Lego offices to remind employees and to maintain that and both mindset. I give you half minute because I see I don't have much more to read through them, or at least some of them, and you will see how they acknowledge that and both aspect of the tensions. Finally, as I mentioned earlier, we have an excellent team that is looking into this space and doing a lot of interesting research on navigating and managing competing priorities. We do that across different contexts and across different levels within the organization, because those competing priorities, as you probably notice by that word cloud, can happen on the individual level, project level, and also organizational level, and nation level as well. So we can help organizations to first create awareness of those contradictory tensions and help organizations to surface those tensions. We can also help in developing customizable and actionable tools, such as guidelines, to help leaders navigate competing priorities. And we are specializing in particular in the context of tensions within a project space, or tensions between projects and organization, but also tensions across different levels within the organization. And we can also help leaders develop in developing integrative mindset and helping them kickstart conversation about competing priorities and sort of help with that language around those competing tensions to be able to communicate that to the organization. So if you would like to hear more about this program of research, please reach out to either myself or Kevin. We will be today for the rest of the day, and of course, please feel free to drop us an email. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. We have time for one or two if it's really quick in terms of questions, but we do have a break as well where we can have questions on the floor. Does anybody have a question in terms of paradox?
Hi, Michael Perry from Salesforce, asking a question, Anna, in terms of the balance between, you've talked about the leaders and also followers as well. I'd love to get your thoughts on what that balance in an organisation or an enterprise would need to be. Is it all about the leaders, or is it also about the followers?
Michael, thank you very much for the question. I can repeat the question for the online audience. So Michael was asking about the balance between leaders and employees when it comes to surfacing the tension and how important it is to consider both. And it is very much so. We are focusing on helping leaders to develop that integrative mindset, but from the work that we've done, we realize that it's very important that everyone in the organization have that mindset. So not only leaders, but also employees and everyone across the hierarchy within the organization, because it's something that can be embedded within the way how organizations do things, starting from the purpose or the large ambition or large goal, the way how strategy is set up, that sort of consider the seemingly opposite, say, sustainability versus profit, that both elements of the tension are sort of highlighted across in the strategy and embedded within the sort of more tactical goals in the organization and the way how organizations do things.
Thank you. Is there anything else? No, well, we will stick to our principle of rapid rigor and say thank you very much, Anna.